This passion has always been with me and it's never faltered. And why veterinary medicine? I really enjoy school and I like especially math and science, and I believe that these are the two key courses that veterinarians have to enjoy. Also, I love being active and being hands-on and being busy, and being a veterinarian is going to allow me to have this throughout the rest of my life. Okay, so there are two ways in ISM for students to gain or find out research for their chosen topic. The first one is through research assessments. And for my first research assessment, I wanted to figure out and learn about all the different careers that the equine industry has to offer. And I found this article that talks about equine-related degrees. The three things that this article showed me was that degrees in this industry are good, but having experience with animals and horses is better. A employee and a person who's going to hire you is going to want more experience over a degree. They want to see that you can work with horses and that you're comfortable around them. The second thing is just two pieces of advice from professionals and from professors in the veterinarian community, is to have internships and to have horse-related classes. To have that strong internship will allow you to gain that experience that people look for when you go out looking for a job, and to just have horse-related classes so that you understand horses and that you will be successful in this industry. The last thing is that the most important subject is English. You may think that it's math and science or other horse-related classes, but those will help you, but it's English. Because what I've found out throughout all my research is that people skills for veterinarians and working in the equine industry is the key thing, because you have to communicate with people. You don't just work with animals, but you work with people. After I learned all the careers in the equine industry, I wanted to learn just the basics about the veterinarian career. And so I found an article that gave me that talked about the basics of the veterinary careers, and I learned these 4 points. That veterinarians need to have people skills, like I just said. Also, that animals, they can pick up on your emotions very quickly, so as a veterinarian you need to stay calm in high-stress situations. Or if a high-stress case comes in and you get all frustrated and freaked out, the animal's going to pick this up, and it's going to actually be more intense and may cause more harm to itself than before. The third thing is just various information about the veterinarian careers. Like I learned about the starting salary, what the best colleges to go to are, how long you have to go to school, and just some basic information. The last thing was that only about 30% of the veterinarians we see today actually work in practices. The other 70% are in research labs and government facilities trying to figure out cures for animal diseases like salmonella and swine flu, trying to keep the animal diseases from spreading to humans. Then, once this point in my research, I figured out that I really did want to go straight down the equine veterinarian path. And so I found this article that talks about figuring out horses' pain. And one of the key things that it talked about was the OVL scoring system. This is a system that is on a scale from 1 to 4, where 1 is where the horse is in minimal to no pain. It's where the horse is relaxed and calm and it can move easily. The fourth thing, the 4 represents on the scale is that the horse is in a lot of pain, that the horse is rigid, it can't move at all. And another thing that I talked about was that observation is key when figuring out a horse's pain. You have to take time as a veterinarian to really understand and to observe all of the aspects of a horse to see where the pain is coming from and how much pain a horse is in. Not only did the article talk about how to figure out pain, but it talked about methods to help with the pain and how to have the horse not in as many pains. And one of the things that it talked about, one of the therapies, was multimodal pain control, where you balance therapies with drugs or 2 drugs together to help the horse not be in pain. And then another thing that stressed on was that therapies are always changing. that as a veterinarian you need to stay up to date with the latest technology so that you can help horses in the best way. My next assessment, I focused on the rehabilitation of horses. And the article that I found talked about 3 methods to help rehabilitate motion defects or lameness. The first one is tactile bracelets, which are bracelets that go on the horse's hoof, and it has chains hanging down from it, so the horse has to pick its hoof up higher so it's actually working its shoulder or that body part more in a range of motion, a bigger range of motion. The second one is wag weights, and these wag weights just provide greater resistance, so the horse has to work harder to work out that range of motion. The last one is poles, which are simply poles on the ground that the horse has to trot or gallop over, and it makes the horse work on its speed of that motion, the range of motion that needs to be rehabilitated. In the picture is a horse. It's actually not none of these 3, but it's actually a horse swimming in a pool. This is a key therapy that people use for range of motion defects because it allows the horse to work on those range of motions without that super strong resistance, but it's still there. It doesn't feel like it is, but it is. My last research assessment talked about the power of a horse's heart. The veterinarian that was interviewed for this assessment said, "Do not expect more from the horse than the horse can give you." Basically, do not overuse your horse in ways that it can't be used. It talked about how a horse's heart is not normal. The horse's heart is actually very irregular and very abnormal. A horse's heart can go from 30 beats per minute to 230 beats per minute from going from rest to full exercise. And it also said that these extreme exercise horses are the ones who are mostly affected for the deadly diseases that the heart can have. And this is because when horses are extremely exercised, their heart is just overworking, and horses that aren't extremely exercised can actually sometimes fix their heart defects on their own. The second way for ISM students to gain research and to figure out research is through interviews with professionals in their career. So for my career, for my topic, I interviewed professionals in the equine industry. As you can see, I only have 2 equine veterinarians that I've interviewed because I wanted to get a wide spectrum and a variety of opinions and advice from people who worked in the equine industry, from people who just worked as small animal veterinarians, and from somebody who worked in both worlds. The top 5 things that I saw that was constant throughout the interviews were, first, that people find their interest at different points in their life. Like me and Miss Casey McCarthy, who is a livestock specialist at the SPCA, we have both been in love and had this passion ever since we were little. We can't remember when it developed, just know that it's always been there. But some people, like Erin Cook, who is a therapeutic instructor at Maingate in McKinney, she did not find her passion for the therapeutic world until she was a volunteer in college working at a place like Maingate. The second point is that the work days are always diverse. There is never going to be a day that is similar to the next one. You could have a very slow day where you don't see any patients, or you could have a very extreme busy day. And like people, animals have different personalities, so you're never going to get the same horse twice. The third thing is that there is a difficulty working with horses because horses are unpredictable. Because humans and animals cannot communicate vocally, we cannot understand what horses are thinking and what their next move is going to be. So as a veterinarian, you have to know that you have to be able to watch your surroundings and understand that horses and animals are going to be unpredictable, and so that you have the safety for them and yourself. The fourth point is that your job becomes your life. As an equine veterinarian, or as just working in the equine industry in general, you have no personal life once you start a career. And many of the people I interviewed stressed that we, as veterinarians, they don't realize how important family is, and that's one of the things that that was an advice that somebody gave me, that you have to make time for family, either if it's working in shifts, if it's taking a day off, or just working with somebody else. That way you're not always constantly working, so that you have that time that you have that personal life, because this job is very emotional taxing, and so if you just constantly work at the job, it is going to almost ruin your emotionally. The last thing, which is that I was very scared going into this, was I feared that because I am an emotional person and this is an emotional taxing job, I was not going to be able to be successful because I'd get attached to my patients. But Dr. Brown, who is an equine veterinarian, said good veterinarians get attached. He said that too many veterinarians in today's world are all about the money and the big fat paychecks that you get as a veterinarian and just care about that aspect of the job. They don't care of actually going out and seeing their patients and just making sure that the animals are going to get the best care possible. Also, through my interviews, I found 4 top characteristics for the equine industry when working with horses. The first one, as I've stated before, is people skills, because veterinarians and working in the equine industry, you don't just work with animals and you don't just work with horses. You also work with the people, their riders, other veterinarians, so you have to have good communication skills with them. The second thing is a desire to work and a desire to get dirty. If this really is your passion, you should not have a problem going out and getting a little messy every now and then, or doing the stuff that's most people don't want to do, like cleaning up and picking stalls and stuff like that. The third thing is patience. Because animals don't always know what you want them to do, you have to have patience to keep working with them and understanding that it's going to take time for animals and horses to heal, and they're not always just going to get what you would like them to do for the therapies, or the medicine is not always going to work like that and work the next day. You have to have patience and take time to actually help and heal the horses. The last thing is the willingness to learn. In this industry, you always have to be open, have an open mind to how other people handle horses and how other people handle animals. How your way may not always be the best way. It could work in some cases, but in other cases it may not be the best way to deal with that animal. Overall, I have learned that the equine industry is not what it seems. There are so many other complex things into it, and that it's a very diverse world, and I'm excited to start a career in such a world. Does anybody have questions? On.